It's so fun to be part of an organization where he's known as the godfather of cybersecurity in Israel, right? He's just the guy that you want to have at the helm. And so, it's very fun to be part of that organization about somebody who's been there and done it multiple times very successfully, knows what it looks like. And it's just why we know that we've not been set up to just be acquired by somebody else or sold off to pieces like some of our competitors have been. We've had a vision from the very beginning and we're driving towards it.
Welcome once again to Get in the Hole with Tech-Gofer. I am Nick Mulholland, president of Tech-Gofer, and we are excited to have Paul Van Lierop on today from Cato Networks. He's the channel sales engineer manager. How are we doing, Paul?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. We're excited. Cato is one of our very favorite providers, one of the first SASE providers, if I'm not mistaken, which I'm sure we'll get into. But as we always do, we're starting with, what are we drinking today? Paul, what do you got back there?
I am drinking a Bruegel 1888 in a real nice Cobra Tiki mug. You can see my collection in the back. I'm a kind of a Tiki fanatic. I turned my office into my own Tiki bar / office a few years ago as part of it. So
that's pretty sweet. So what do you, we can kind of see back there. What are some of the other, are they all cups or are they all?
Yeah, they're all, it's kind of hard to see up on the shelf, but they all have some kind of theme to them. Like this one came as a drink called the Snake Bite. They all, something that's all dangerous or what have you, but I've got a whole collection. I'm actually headed to Budapest this weekend for our sales kickoff, and I've found a Tiki bar there that I'll be visiting and hoping to add a mug from there to my collection.
We'll have to talk offline. I was in Budapest for maybe 4 or 5 days, but yeah, it's a super cool place. I'm excited for you. Have you been there before?
I have. I'm looking forward to it again.
As I say, I grabbed this bottle while you were talking about dangerous things because that's Jepson Malort. If you haven't had that, that's a very, very dangerous drink.
Okay.
I myself just have a Fernet and Diet Coke.
Okay.
Very popular drink down there, which I drank on the show before. It is what it is.
Nice.
Cool. Well, let's jump into it. So, why don't we start with tell us about your background and how you ended up in your role at Cato?
Sure. So I've been in technology a long time. At this point, I started off in the .com era through a whole bunch of companies there. I worked for Microsoft for 10 years. And at that point, I was building networks. I ran the front end network engineering team for all internet side of Microsoft for years. I pivoted and actually built and designed the initial networks for Azure back when it was known as Red Dog. And then I took a pivot and kind of got tired of being on call and always being the guy doing stuff. And I went to work for Cisco, calling on Amazon for a few years because they were looking for somebody that had cloud experience, right? And at that time, not many people did. So I did that for a while, covered Oracle for a few years. Then I pivoted over into the service provider SD-WAN space, like Viptela, things of that nature. And I was kind of getting burnt out. Look, so I had about 20 years at two of the largest tech companies in the world, right? Or the largest tech companies in the world.
Yeah.
And I was just burning out, and a channel manager that I work with at Cisco went to Cato in the very early days, and he said, "Hey, can I call you if I get over there?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And, at that point in time, Cato was just starting, the rumblings were going around Cisco where we're like, who are these, there's a little nimble organization here that's kind of coming and eating our lunch here, and who are they? And so I made the pivot. I was the first channel sales engineer in North America. And then our organization has grown enough so that we've got 6 engineers now covering the Americas, and then I run that team overall. So
awesome. Yeah, and you are absolutely correct. Cato's been growing like crazy, just the way that you're doing SASE, which we'll get into. Yeah. What is your favorite part about being at Cato and why?
I love I've had a real opportunity to put my fingerprint on things that are done here and help and drive and use my experience like I've never been able to do in my career, right? Obviously, a large corporation, it's very hard to do that, right? Getting frustrated about not being able to develop the right kind of license or sell things to people the right way. So I love the fact that, I have direct access. We'll be going, I'll have a whole tech session on Monday where we're talking to all the PMs and the developers, right, in the different areas, and they want our feedback. And I've never been a part of an organization that is so developer oriented where when we've got a customer need, we will figure that out and be able to bring that in because we have one platform that we offer, right? And it's really kind of a very different situation. And to just be part of a company that everybody's headed in the same direction, right? We have a very clear vision. We know how we want to do things from the very beginning, and we're all kind of headed that direction, obviously hoping to be, a publicly traded company here soon as well.
So I'm curious, just because you mentioned Viptela, that company. I had a friend early on he almost went and worked there, but it sounded like originally the goal was to build up Viptela and sell it to Cisco. And if I'm not mistaken,
yes,
Cisco phones. Is that it?
And I think they're doing it again. Yeah, and I think
and I was going to say I don't really feel that that's the way that Cato is going.
No,
is that fair enough?
No, that's totally fair. I mean, so Shlomo Kramer, who's our co-founder, he initially co-founded Checkpoint, right? So, he's been in the security business from the very beginning, when the term firewall came to fruition as not just something on your car, right? And he loves to do it. He's done it very successfully twice. He was an initial round investor in Palo Alto. He does not need to be doing this, right? He absolutely does not need to be doing it, but he absolutely loves it. And he is so invested and knows how to do it. It's so fun to be part of an organization where he's known as the godfather of cybersecurity in Israel, right? He's just the guy that you want to have at the helm. And so, it's very fun to be part of that organization about somebody who's been there and done it multiple times very successfully, knows what it looks like. And it's just why we know that we've not been set up to just be acquired by somebody else or sold off to pieces like some of our competitors have been. We've had a vision from the very beginning and we're driving towards it.
Yeah, I love that. And, let's jump into some more of the details. So,
sure.
As I've seen, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, Gartner created an entire category specific to SASE based upon Cato. So you want to, for those that are Cisco certified, and just maybe are unaware of what Cato does and why your SASE solution is a little bit different. You want to jump into that a little bit?
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, the terminology is secure access service edge, or SASE, right? That we talk a lot about. I will say offhandedly that, I spent a lot of time defining an acronym and how we meet all of the requirements of that,
Right.
Because that's what Gartner does, right? They're looking to coin a term, develop a quadrant for it, and define a marketplace, which we like that because the conversation came from back in 2019 when they were talking with us about a strategy that we've had from the very beginning, which was to converge network and security together in a platform-based solution, right? So that was the goal as we launched, was to be able to provide that platform for our customers to solve their business needs and help do things like get rid of all of your point products and the network and security side. And really, that's what we've been focused on from the very beginning. We've had the luxury of having our sole platform from the very beginning, where we're not taking different products that our company has, maybe purchased or acquired or built and tried to bring them together, which is most of the competitive space is doing. We have a cohesive platform, and we have from the very beginning, right? And we'll tell you that we're the world's first SASE platform because it was where we were born. We were born into something that didn't exist as a category, but now everybody is in there, and it's kind of a crowded, convoluted space where you have to kind of discern, well, that's what your competitors said you are. For us, our superpower is being able to provide something very simple, straightforward, and really get rid of those multiple solutions to provide a cohesive, solution entirely for that, right? That's our real goal.
So for the listeners, watchers that are IT leaders, decision makers that are evaluating, hey, my current setup is X. I've heard of SASE. It's something that I need to be looking into. What would you recommend as far as like the criteria and things that they should be considering as they evaluate that?
Sure. So I mean, our customer base is pretty varied as far as the verticals that we go into.
Mhm.
Everything from, we absolutely crush it in the credit union space and manufacturing. But really, the things that we like to say is that, like, if you've got a solution requirement that is, let's say you have more than a couple sites, right? You have different locations that you need to bring together, whether those sites are cloud instances, whether they're physical locations, whether your branch offices, all of those things in there, and your remote users. And if you've got any number of those and you're trying to bring a solution in together for any of them, that's when the conversation starts with us, I like to say. And so at that point, we start talking about the things that we can do. And, to be honest, the term SASE and all of the acronyms of things that can be provided is overwhelming for customers, right? They're like, look, does this mean I have to replace everything? No.
Well,
But, the idea is let's look at the scenarios or the problems that you're facing, which is, how do I secure my remote users? How do I provide, optimized connectivity for those locations? How do I do something like bring in, my manufacturing locations in China and do that securely and bring it in, right? Those are the types of things that we have a conversation, and use things like VPN replacement or getting rid of MPLS or older networks in there. That's an avenue where we call them a door into a solution. And then you can start looking at the fact that you're part of a platform, and you can start replacing those other things as it makes sense as you go along.
well, and I was just saying, I mean, for larger networks where look, I mean, Cisco did a tremendously good job of creating these training programs. Now
Absolutely.
everybody's buying Cisco because that's the products that they know.
Absolutely.
What would you say to somebody that that they're standardized on Cisco today, and they might be entertaining what Cato offers? What would you? How does that conversation go? Which I'm sure you're on that a
Yeah,
lot.
we have it a lot. I mean, I even myself, I had an aging Meraki network in my own home here until my license expired recently, and I wasn't going to renew that one. But we don't necessarily replace a LAN switching infrastructure or complicated routing infrastructure overall. Our focus is singular on being able to provide a solution at the edge to tie those in together. That may mean you have existing infrastructure and switching and Wi-Fi, et cetera, that you already have. So we work kind of seamlessly with Cisco or any of the other technology providers, frankly, because we understand that people have existing network infrastructure, and we're not trying to solve all problems for all people, right? So you can come in, bring in and replace that edge router or firewall or whatever it is, especially if that contract's coming up as part of it, and start taking advantage of a cloud native platform to provide all of the heavy lifting, right? I've spent a lot of time in my past life deciding what type of box to deploy or recommending a box for somebody to deploy based upon what features, functionality that they want to run. With a cloud-based platform, we don't have to worry about that. We do have boxes, we call them sockets, that very easily connect into the environment, but they're a very low monthly recurring charge as part of it. It's really the cloud infrastructure and our points of presence around the world that do all the heavy lifting as part of that. So you don't have to buy that expensive box as a capital expenditure.
Absolutely. And I was going to say, correct me if I'm wrong, from an entry perspective, you guys can do a lot, but it doesn't have to do everything all at once, right? And
Correct.
so someone that might be listening that, hey, I've got an existing infrastructure, I just need this one particular thing
Right.
done. That's a really good inroad where it's like, okay, you're going to put the socket out there, and
Right.
then it's going to do the one thing that they need. But as contracts come up, as hardware ages, now, correct me if I'm wrong, it's the socket can do that. It's just a matter of now turning it
Yeah,
on,
that's
and
exactly
it's
right.
ready to go. Do you want to talk a little bit about some of the features and add-ons that are possible?
Yeah, yeah. So, if we look at, let's take a solution, let's say you've got I don't know, maybe you're an orthodonture clinic, right? That is in a larger metro area or something that you want to bring in those locations, tie them in together securely. Maybe you're running an internal application as part of it. That could be a use case for us for a very small customer, right? And maybe they start off, you get the connectivity. We provide that over just general internet and provide encryption as part of that. But then, as a base level, we provide a secure web gateway. So your internet connectivity, where the sites that you're going to, if you want to allow, maybe you don't want to allow gambling sites or botnets or things of that nature, we can protect as part of it. That's just built into our infrastructure, as well as what we call our WAN firewall, or really a zero trust environment between those locations. Those are all built in for any customer. But then if you want to explore and provide more detailed capability as part of our threat prevention, we can do that too. So now we're talking intrusion prevention and data loss protection. So we're protecting more than just web-based traffic, any kind of protocol that's on there and the exploits that might be happening. Or maybe you want to protect that sensitive data or the files that are transferred around so that, my people can't actually upload SKUs or PI data or something else as part of that, right? That can be added at any time because you're part of the platform. And that's really the value, is that as you see the value, now you want to know how's the performance to those end users. We've got digital experience monitoring as part of that too, right? So I can know that my contact center people are having trouble connecting to my applications, or at least this one is, right? Maybe it's based because his Wi-Fi is not operating correctly or things.
And that type of monitoring, that's both for, at an actual office itself or remote.
Absolutely. Right. Yeah. So you can cover any use case. It doesn't just have to be behind a device, right? That can be as part of, if you're running what we call the Cato client as part of that, even on my laptop or my iOS device or things of that nature, can provide that capability too.
Yeah. Well, I can say that one, Cato has been at a lot of our events throughout the United States. We really appreciate the partnership. The engineer, all the experts that we're typically bringing in, cybersecurity or just the networking guys, everybody's a big fan. So for those of you that are listening, you have questions about Cato, please reach out to us at Tech-Gofer. We're happy to connect you with top resources like Paul. And I imagine we could continue to talk for a long time, but we are running up on there. We do generally finish on a note about golf. So question for you is, what is your least favorite part about golf and why?
That is a great question. I am a recent returnee to the golfing world.
There you go.
My wife and I started again about a year ago, and I'll be honest. Look, I'm a hockey player. I'm a skier. I've got, so yeah, you would think hockey would transfer.
Just like Happy Gilmore.
Happy Gilmore. It does not. It does not transfer at all. That's a little ball. And I think the part that the inconsistency and the mental toughness that I need to have, I think, to kind of overcome, when I've missed 3 shots in a row or something and not just lose it entirely. I think that's what I'm learning to overcome. But it's
I think every golfer out there is still trying to fight through that.
For sure.
With that, and I've been listening to some books specifically about. There's a good one called Mindful Golfer. There's another one, Golf is Not a Game of Perfect. And top players. It's the number one psychologist that, he's worked with Dick Falco and a lot of pros. Even they have those thoughts.
Yeah.
So you're not alone. My least favorite part of golf is when it's slow. That is absolute the worst, when you're just waiting on every single hole and it just gets in your head more and more. That's definitely my least favorite. But it's exciting that you're back playing. Hopefully we'll get to see you, and we'll
that'd be fun.
Excellent. Well, Paul, thank you so much. Again, for everybody that's out there listening, if you have questions, please reach out to Tech-Gofer. We're happy to connect you with Cato, Paul. Again, they got a lot of really good stuff going, so check them out. Otherwise, we will see you next time. Like, subscribe, share with anybody you think would enjoy. And we will see you next time on Get in the Hole with Tech-Gofer. Cheers.
Cheers.